The summer worship, we've had opportunity to hear from persons in mission. This morning, Jim Hilliard will come to share about a very important opportunity in the life of our church, our international student ministry. Jim has made some friends all over the world right here in Athens, Georgia.
Good morning. Over the past few weeks, we've heard testimonies of God's goodness and the faithfulness of our congregation in responding to Jesus' command to go into all the world and proclaim the gospel. We've sent missionaries this year to Tijuana, Cuba, Appalachia, Costa Rica, and even to the needy in our own backyard. Maybe you're listening to the reports of what God is doing in and through our congregation and really want to be a part. But as you think about the opportunities that have been presented so far, you think that your family life or your vocation or your health would prevent you from taking such a dramatic step in your Christian life. Maybe you're just a little bit too scared to take that step, and if you're like me in that way, let me tell you about an opportunity that you just can't refuse. For the past 2 years, our family has participated in the International Student Friendship Partner Program. In fact, for most of our 18 years of marriage, God has brought international students into our lives and the lives of our families in really remarkable ways. In our church, friendship partners are international students from the university who share a part of your life with you, either individually or with your family. Now, you may find yourself sharing your faith specifically if the opportunity arises, but the main emphasis of this program is sharing gifts of hospitality and friendship. That means if you don't feel that evangelism is your gift, that's perfectly all right. You can go shopping together, you can bake cookies together, you can invite your friend to a tailgate party or a football game, or take them to lunch, or just have a cup of coffee. Our church has sponsored an international student ministry program for over 10 years. Throughout the academic year, Lynn Bryant and her team host Bible studies, monthly snack and chat dinner gatherings, trips to nearby attractions. If you want to know more about our international student ministry program, look in the missions section of our church website. Last year, over 450 international students participated in events here at the church, and almost 300 more were served in programs on campus without ever coming to the church. They come from 38 countries and nearly every continent, and the remarkable thing is that 85% of them come from countries where government activity seriously constrains missionary outreach. But they are here in our community, and we have a chance to reach them with the gospel and the love of God in the risen Christ. Well, the good news for you and me is that we don't have to go and seek them out. They're looking for us. Lynn sent me an email yesterday that they provided transportation from the Atlanta airport for Chinese students who stayed here at the church while waiting for their dorm rooms to be ready. Just in that small group of people, 30 students reached out looking for international friendship partners. And there will be more and more coming as Lynn continues her ministry through the beginning of the school year. 75% of international students on campus, however, never receive an invitation to an American family's home. Through the international student ministry programs in our church, our family has gotten to know Rosie from Australia. Our boys really love to listen to her talk. And she came back and brought them exciting reports of all the things that she was doing around Georgia, giving us great ideas of things that we could do as a family. This year, we got to know Nairui from China. Now, Nairui didn't have a car, and we live out on the edge of town, and so she asked if she could bring her friend Ji Young from South Korea with her. She had a car and could provide transportation. And these young women have been a wonderful addition to our family life. They've joined us for Thanksgiving dinner and for Easter dinner. Christy had a girls' night out with them at the East-West Bistro, and we've met for lunch together a few times. And we even convinced Nairui to join us for the insanity of the Strawberry Festival at Washington Farms. But I want to tell you more about the first time that we ever met them. We invited a couple of other Chinese students that we knew to join us as well. And even after all the years of experience we've had with international students, something about this particular meal really caught us off guard. We wondered what we would talk about. We wondered if our friends would enjoy the meal. We wondered if our boys would be well behaved. We wondered if we would just sit there and stare at each other in silence, or if we'd have anything to talk about, or could even understand each other. Well, every time we gather at this table, the altar, for communion and a holy meal, we are nourished through the presence of Christ in our lives. This presence brings us together through the act of breaking bread and breaking down barriers between us and building us up in community. Well, I find something similar happens when we gather at our own tables, in our homes and restaurants or in other places. Our prayer of thanksgiving during communion, the Eucharist prayer, returns thanks to God for the gift of life through Christ. Well, we gave thanks at our table that night for the gifts of food and friends from far away, and we experienced joy and peace together. It was truly a Eucharistic experience. And did we understand each other? Well, there were 3 countries represented at the table, speaking 4 languages, so you would expect there to be some stumbles, and there were. But the language of love and friendship is universal. Do you remember that Pentecost narrative in Acts, where the disciples were speaking in languages that everyone on the street could understand? Somehow it seemed that we were experiencing that same presence in our home that night. These new friends of ours became friends with each other. They were sharing their email addresses and phone numbers on their way out the door. Now, you don't have to host a big meal for 4 international students to have your own Eucharistic and Pentecost experience, because love and friendship can bring this about at a Little League game, at a picnic at the zoo, or on a museum trip. God's love can shine if you take your international partner friend clothes shopping, or any time that you can take a few minutes of your life to invest in someone else who can take that light and share it with people in their dorm room and even people in their home countries where the gospel is seldom heard. Well, I hope you agree with me by now that this is an offer that can't be refused. So let me urge you to take this blue insert from your bulletin, fill it out during the children's message, and drop it in the offering plate. Lynn Bryant will be in touch with you about the opportunity to participate in this fantastic program. Every year, there are more international students seeking partner friends than our church can provide. Let's change that this year. Let's imagine the impact if every family in a congregation of this size could be committed to a few hours a year to sharing God's love to people coming to us from around the world. The commitment on your part is minimal, but I can speak from experience when I say that the benefits for you are beyond measure, and even more than that, the benefits to the kingdom. I urge you to consider this possibility for your own lives, and thank you very much.